Hello, 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 and welcome to the Texarsis Live podcast video. I'm Shane Moore, and I will be here for the next 2 hours, hopefully, talking about the event. There's many people that have, many people in the esoteric communities that have talked about, hey, glad you're here, that have talked about this. This very monumental event that is supposed to happen. And the main people that talk about it, that have talked about it, is a secret society, probably the largest secret society of probably the main one, the oldest and probably the largest. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were in charge of or in control of all other secret societies. And that is the Priory of Sion, Sion, not Zion. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the how that S in Sion and the Z in Zion, very, very, similar names, but the meanings are quite different. Matter of fact, they're probably about as far apart as you can get, just completely opposite. Now, the Priory of Sion was documented and talked about in this documentary. I believe it was in 2007, titled Bloodline. Now, I have studied this topic for, let's see, 18 years. Man, I'm getting old. But anyway, 18 years. And there's a lot of information, and there's a lot more disinformation. And it's very, very good. It's very, very compelling. It seems to be just, it seems to prove itself, but nevertheless, it is disinformation. It is designed and it is written and it is promulgated to turn you, to divert you from the truth, from what's really going on. And they are experts at doing just that, at the disinformation. There are also, if you go online and you search and you Google Priory of Sion, you Google the event, you Google different things pertaining to bloodlines, and that's really something. Is it all seems to go back to, no matter how far you go, no matter what you do, no matter what you study, it all seems to go back to bloodlines, DNA. I guess you could say lineage, origins. And there's several different theories. Well, there's many theories, but there's several that are actually factual. They tend to back themselves up, and but even then, you make up your own mind whether to accept it or to reject it, because this is all theory, it's opinion. But when you take each theory, when you take each opinion, and you put one theory, or you put parts of one theory, or a part of one theory into another theory, and then take those two into another theory. And even this is what is amazing about this, is even the disinformation. It wouldn't be disinformation if it didn't have some truth in it. So what they do is they take a bit of truth, or they take a lot of truth, and they mix it with a lie just to throw you off. And I've been duped before, and I know I'll be duped again. But with me, when I tend to, I guess if there was ever anyone that over-researched things, it would be me. I search, I research, I re-research, and I check, I recheck, and just to make sure that when I'm sharing information and my theories, that no one can, or that, people will have difficulty saying, well, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense, and you're wrong here, and you're wrong here. And because I spend a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears in doing this, to share this information, and to hopefully wake people up to that there's more to this life than what we see, what we experience. And there's much more to you than what you've been led to believe, than what you've been told. You have more power. You have infinite power, but you've been told that it's just little old you, and just to move along and toe the line, and do what you're told, believe what you're told, and keep moving, keep doing what you're doing, and don't ask questions, and don't criticize how things are handled by those in powerful positions and those supposedly in charge. The best thing is, the main message is just keep moving, and just keep working, and just keep buying, keep consuming, keep desiring, and keep comparing yourself to others. And it's obey, don't question, have blind faith, consume, buy, desire, see yourself as needing everything, and working to have everything. But have you noticed that those that seek to have everything, they have nothing. Those who don't seek to have everything, those who are content, and there's such power in contentment. Those who are content with what they have, and they don't need to consume, they don't need to buy. They pretty much have what they need, and they're happy. But those that need everything, they're the ones that are not happy usually. Why is that? Because you will never have everything, Matter of fact, this is just a fact of life. You will never have most of everything you want. I mean, it's just, we are programmed to want things that very few people ever have. Now, I'm not crushing anyone's dreams. I'm just being honest. I'm just being truthful. And that's just one of those things. I mean, it's like, how many of us are going to ever become billionaires? How many of us are ever going to become world famous? And the reason I say these things is because those are the two things that most people are obsessed about, or that they want. They want money and they want fame. They want to be known. They want to be like a rock star, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to want that, but when you think about it, the main thing that everyone with that kind of power, that kind of influence, they have something that they do not want the masses to know about. They don't want the general public to know about what they have, what makes them different, what gives them power. And their greatest fear is for people to know it and to realize it and to gain that power themselves. Reason is because that makes the public, that makes the masses that are working and are pulling the cart for the carrot they're never going to get. That opens their eyes to what's really going on, and it makes them as powerful as the ones that are in power. See, they don't want a fair battleground. They don't want a fair fight. And how do they accomplish the unfair fight? How do they accomplish their power over the general public, the masses? Deception. Plain and simple deception. Lies. Propaganda. And how many of you listening, when you see something on the news, and I don't care what news media it is, I don't care what reporter it is, when you hear it, how many of you automatically accept that as truth? Say they report that that there's been a murder, or that something awful's happened. How many of you immediately that bothers you and it affects you, and if not ruins your day, when you hear it? I'd say many people. I used to be that way. But ask yourself this: what if it's not true? Ask yourself, why do I accept that immediately? Why do I accept that without checking to see if it's true? The reason is because we have been indoctrinated. We've been trained from a very early age that when the media reports something, it's true. It happened. And then with the advent of television, I mean, radio is bad enough, but with the advent of television, it's like you not only hear it, but you see it. Or do you? Do you see it? I'm not saying that you don't see something, in news reports and things like that, because you do. But are you witnessing what is actually taking place? You want the definition of magic? You want the definition of true deception? You want to know how deep the rabbit hole goes? And this is what they do not want you to know. And I'm serious. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but truth is not theory. This is the truth. And you can look this up for yourself. When 9/11 happened, how many of you saw, I forget, I'm 50. Those of you listening that were children or not even born when 9/11 happened. Okay. When you saw the report that showed the Palestinians that were clapping and that were dancing and rejoicing, they said, because when the Twin Towers fell. Do you remember that? Do you remember how the woman was clapping and they were dancing in the streets, and people are like, oh man, that is awful. That is so evil for them to do that. Okay. Every major news media in the United States broadcasted that. And you can go here on YouTube, you can check it out yourself. That was not what it seemed to be. That was old footage in Palestine, in Gaza, where Israeli soldiers were giving Palestinian children, and it was women, because the men, they saw the cameras, they saw the Israeli soldiers, and they're like, I'm out of here. But the women and the children, they saw the candy, they saw the sweets, the candy that the Israeli soldiers were giving to the children and the women. And the woman dancing and clapping, she wasn't clapping because the Twin Towers fell. She was clapping because she was getting candy. She was getting something good from the Israeli soldiers. Now, this was footage that was like shot like in 1998. Okay, the Twin Towers, 9/11 was 2001. So what they did was they on the news channel of every major media outlet in the United States and probably globally, media outlet, how about spewing lies? Because they reported that, and they reported the accompanying video as being that day. Why would they do that? To manipulate your mind. Because they know from a very early age, from birth, that you have been trained, you have been indoctrinated to immediately accept whatever you see reported as news. And you accept it as truth. And before you know it, you are reacting. The chemical precursors within your body are already beginning to elicit a reaction. And most of the time, that reaction is not positive. It is very, very negative. Just like people that saw that video and videos like that, what did they do on 9/11? In some cases, they went, and if they saw someone that was Muslim or whatever, they attacked them, or they beat them to a pulp, and that's still going on. That's still going on. Now, ask yourself, why do I believe what is reported without checking the facts? Well, I did it for years. The truth is number one, I was deceived. Number two, I trusted what I was told. Like, I really believed that the media was on my side, was on the side of the public to report the truth and report the injustice and report the crimes and the wrongdoings that was going on, never realizing that they were a part of it. Exposing the wrongdoings? Hell no. They're covering up the wrongdoings. They're helping the perpetrators. They're helping push this agenda. What agenda is that? Have you ever heard of chaos magic? And I'm not talking about magic, sleight of hand, smoke and mirrors. I'm talking about true magic. And what is true magic? Nothing more than mental manipulation. Right? What is the quote? And you have to help me here, Mona, please. What's the quote that the mind is the devil's playground, or an empty mind is the devil's playground, or something like that? And that's true. That's very true. But people, they watch movies and read books and everything, and they are drawn away by believing that magic, and by the way, true magic is has a K on the end. That's to kind of tell the difference between stage magic and real magic, which is nothing more than, as I said, mental manipulation. Because look at it this way. If someone wants to manipulate you, if they want to perform magic on you, or they want to affect you in some way by magical means, how are they going to do that? Well, view yourself as an airplane, and view those who want to attack you magically, or attack you with curses and things like that. Imagine them as the hijackers. Okay? When hijackers hijack an airplane, is their goal that plane? Well, yes and no. An idle mind is the devil's playground. Thank you. An idle mind is the devil's playground. So how does this happen? Well, let's say a lazy mind is the devil's playground. A lazy mind. And the truth is speaking for myself, is so many times I would hear the news reported, and I was just too lazy to check it out. I'm like, well, I trust them, that they're telling the truth. And so I'm not gonna question it. But what would I do? I would react negatively and I would have that hatred and that desire to get even, or to hate a particular group of people, as I said, without even checking to see if it was true. But back to what I was talking about is, you view yourself as an airplane. You view those who want to manipulate you in a powerful way. They manipulate you to the point where they can cause you a lot of problems. They can ruin your life. They can ruin your reputation. They can destroy you. They can kill you. Words can heal and words can kill. You are the airplane. They're the hijackers. Their goal is to hijack and control, and I say control, that plane. But their main mission, their main target, is to enter the cockpit. Because until they enter the cockpit, they don't control the plane. And what's the cockpit? Your mind. How do they try to enter the cockpit and control the plane, control you? By threats. I've got a bomb out here. If you don't open the door, I'm going to blow the plane up or whatever. What happens? Well, sometimes they open the door. Hijackers enter the cockpit. They take control of the plane. Same with us. Threats, fear, breaks us down, and we allow them to, to control our minds. It's very frightening when you think about it. And the reason it's frightening is because of the blind trust we have in people in positions of power. And let me tell you, most of the people in positions of power, I'm not saying all, I'm just saying most, they do not have your best interests at heart. Matter of fact, they don't give a damn about you. You're just a way that you just provide for them. All the work you do, you work so they can benefit from it. You work so you can survive. And if you notice that most people work and work and work to just have enough, when those in positions of power, scum, politicians, people like that, the lawmakers and the lawyers and scum, for the most part. Have you noticed that the more you work to make it, to have enough to live, the more these politicians and people in power, they benefit from it. It's like this story about this young apprentice, this young man that was working for this billionaire, and was at a country club or something, and the kid goes and gets the billionaire's Lamborghini, brings it to him, and the kid says, "Man, I wish I had a car like this." And the billionaire says, "Well, son," he says, you you apply yourself, you work every day. He says, keep your grades up in college and graduate and keep working and applying yourself. And he says, and one day I'll have 10 of these Lamborghinis. That's the truth. But it's told to you as a nice little uplifting story where the billionaire says, and if you apply yourself and you work and you don't stop and you blood, sweat, and tears, one day you'll have a car like this, which is a lie for the most part. You see, because every bit of work that the boy does or will ever do, for the most part, is how the billionaire earns his money. You know, there is no greater prison than a prison that you are in that you're unaware of. Prisoners that don't know they're prisoners, they're the best kind. Why? Because they never revolt. They never try to escape the prison. They obey. They go along with the program because they have no clue that they're incarcerated. And the truth is as far as being in prison, this is something else that the powers that be, those in positions of power, those who rule this world system, and they rule it because they created it. The reason why that they don't want you to know that you are imprisoned is because when you know it, then you will realize that they just gave you the information or disinformation. They just gave you the lies to elicit a reaction within you. I guess what I'm trying to say is they gave you the supplies. They gave you the power. They gave you everything you needed to build your own prison, to build your own cell, to imprison yourself. By what? By false beliefs, by believing what they say. And they are experts at that. And then the last thing they want you to know is that you are imprisoned and that you are the warden, you're the guards, and the bars don't even really exist in your cell because you created them. The bars don't exist. The cell doesn't exist. The prison doesn't exist. The warden doesn't exist. The guards don't exist. Nothing exists unless you believe it does. Your mind makes it real. But if you don't know that you're imprisoned, if you don't know that, that you're being controlled, then, this is not, I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but it's been said ignorance is bliss. And ignorance, I'm not saying that, in a bad way. Ignorance is just lack of knowledge. And ignorance is bliss. I mean, and I'm completely fine with people that say, you know what, I don't want to hear this. I'm fine the way I am. And if ignorance is bliss, then I want to remain ignorant and happy. Good. You know what? I don't have a problem with that. I don't even think bad of you about that. If that's what you want to do, then do it. Carry on. But if you want to change, if you want a change in your life, and I say your life, because many people, they believe they're living their life, but they wonder, they often wonder, why am I not happy? Why am I not satisfied? I mean, there's something missing. Could it be that you only believe that you're living your life when you're really not? You're just life is living you. People, those in positions of power, and I'm not talking about so much about people with political power. I'm talking about people with power that would be hard to comprehend. Those people that you see that are supposedly people with power, people in power, and you know their names and things like that, those aren't really the people in power. The true people in power, you'll never know their names. You will never see them. And if you do see them, you'll never know it's them. But they're the ones who control everything. It's like I said on last night's podcast, or night before. You have to give them credit. I give credit where credit's due, even if it's someone who has hurt me or someone that is bad, evil, sinister, wicked, whatever you want to call it. I give credit where credit's due, and I do give them credit. They made sure exceedingly well that everything was covered, everything was controlled, and that they are guarding all the doors and they're holding all the keys in this world system. Now, people say, well, they're putting things in vaccines, and they're they're putting things in the public water supply and things like that. Now, is that true? Is that false? I have no idea. Again, that's just what is said. That's what's been reported. And I'm not going to say, well, yes, it's true, or no, it's false, unless I'm there and can research it and test it myself. But I will say this. When people say, well, we can take them to court and we can file a lawsuit against them and they'll have to pay and this and that. Well, that would be great if we lived in a perfect world, in a fair world. But truth is, that's part of the system. That's a huge part of the system. Are the courts, those who make the laws, those who enforce the laws, they're part of it. They're part of this world system that's been created to control the masses for the most part. So chances are, if you were to sue the FDA or some other agency like that, and you take them to court, you're basically taking them to a place where their friends are, where their collaborators are. Do you think you're going to get a fair trial there? No, not at all. because the FDA is controlled by the same people that control the court system, the government, the governments of the world. And, it's, unfortunately, it's not a pleasant thought to, that they control everything. But what I'm saying is once you realize it, once you realize that they are in control and they're controlling everything, it's not that gives them the power. It's how you react to what is reported, to what is said, to what you hear, what they want you to hear. It's how you react to it. And I said something about chaos magic or manipulation to cause chaos. And that's what they want. They want to have, or they want to cause events that will cause, Mona, you said it, that will cause mass hysteria, racism, and profiling. What's all that? That will create hatred, even more hatred than there already is, a deeper hatred. And that is there on the dollar bill where it says the out of chaos order, ab ordo seclorum, whatever, or something like that. Out of chaos order. That's their motto. That's their belief, is that chaos provides, when there's chaos that totally destroys everything, then order can be built, or order can be restored. It's pretty crazy. But what happens is the deception again. They play one side. They play one race against another. They play one country against another. They play one belief system against another. But they're backing both sides. So they sit back, and what do? They sit back and they watch people unaware destroy each other to promote and to promulgate their agenda. Now, as I said, the Priory of Sion, they have talked about something called the event. And there's different people in that have talked about, or that have mentioned the event. And those of you that are listening to the rebroadcast or whatever, because no one's listening right now, no one's taking part in the live chat. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if Facebook's not notifying the followers. I don't know, but it really makes it difficult for me personally, because I feed off of your comments. I feed off of what's going through your mind, and when I don't have that to feed off of or to reflect on, it makes it difficult for me, because I don't know. I guess I'm just strange, but I want that, feedback to know what you're thinking, so I'll know how to best, guide the discussion. And hey, Patricia, it's the topic is the event. And I don't know if you've heard about that or not, or you've heard people mention that or talk about that, but there's been people that have asked what the event is, and there's been different YouTube channels talking about the event and when it's coming, and the Secret Society, the Priory of Sion, they talked about it. Their spokesman, Nicholas Haywood, talked about it. And he said that there was an event coming. Yes, like something very big that is supposed to happen, that's coming. You say, Patricia, you say, if so, I think several of us in the group have felt that. Yes, exactly. A lot of people have. Hey, Peter, glad you joined us. But the event is supposedly something that will change life as we know it. That will absolutely, change everything. And when on the documentary Bloodline, when Bruce Burgess, the director, was interviewing the Priory of Sion's spokesman, Nicholas Haywood. Nicholas Haywood was creepy. I mean, creepy. This guy was sitting there, and he was as calm as a cucumber. And the two guys that let's see, Peter, you say, I see a piece of a meteor that penetrates the crust at least. Oh, okay, you're talking about a meteor impacting the Earth. Okay, well, that's one theory. That's one theory. So maybe not. I don't know. But that would definitely change life as we know it. If a meteor of, a large size hit the Earth, yeah, you can rest assured that would change life as we know it. But Nicholas Haywood said that when asked about the event, he says, yes, there is an event coming. He says, yes, you can rest assured there is an event coming. And he says, in my lifetime, and Bruce Burgess is probably my age, around 50. And he says, yes, possibly, quite possibly in your lifetime. And he says, basically, said, yes, it will definitely happen in your lifetime. So he says, and what is it exactly? He says, can you say? And Nicholas Haywood says, I could say. He says, but it's not something that I need to say or have to say at this time. He says, but and when asked, further, what is it? He says, I don't know. Perhaps a deluge, talking about a flood. And Bruce Burgess asked him, he says, a flood. He says, like a flood of information, or a flood of documents, or a flood of information. Well, Peter, I don't believe it's going to be a fire. Well, right. Excuse me about that. Yes. If anything, it would be a fire. Now, that can be taken as a literal fire, or it can be taken metaphorically, a fire. So make up your own mind on what you think that is. But he says a deluge, perhaps. He says of information. Okay. Now, what would what would change life as we know it? What information could change life as we know it? And I know that, like a meteor or an asteroid hitting the Earth, or the world, the Earth combusting into flames. I mean, I know that that's like really dramatic and everything, but when you think about it, if there was information that was released to the world, the right information, and I'm not saying right as in right and wrong, I'm just saying if it's a certain type of information, it would actually be more destructive, or just as destructive, if a meteor hit the Earth, or an asteroid hit the Earth, because you would have most people's belief systems would be completely changed. I mean, everything would be changed. And okay, let me catch up on this on the chat. Okay, Pedro, you say you see a piece of meteor that penetrates the crust at least. Okay, where do you see that? Where do you see it hitting? And you say also the new L year. You say also the electromagnetic mistake will affect DNA. Okay, I don't know what mistake you're talking about. So please clarify what you're talking about as far as the electromagnetic mistake. Okay, plus a pole shift. Okay, I don't really. You say it starts with slow quakes. Earth is slipping into huge trenches off of New Zealand. They've moved 4 kilometers. Evaporation of water causing fireworks. And you say it's fact, predicted in 1917. Well, that's not fact. I know that you're talking about Fatima, but that's not fact. Until it happens, it's not fact. It's prophecy, but it's not fact. So, and I'm not being rude. I'm just telling you that something that's predicted is never fact until it happens. So, and you say, okay. All right. You talk about DNA, near a trench. Okay. That could be a lot of trenches. Okay. You say that you had a vision. Okay. Well, all right. But what I'm saying is that I'm not knocking that, but I'm just saying that me personally, what I say, what my belief is on that is, I don't care who it is who has the vision or who has the prophecy. It's not fact until it happens. It's just not. And you say that you say Fatima is so R correct. Is so FR correct? I don't know what you mean by that. Fatima was in 1917. There were 3 young children who said that Okay, you say Fatima has so far correct. Okay. Well, I think that's a matter of conjecture. I think that that's a matter of, you know, um, it's interpretation. Maybe so, but um, they said that a woman who that a woman appeared to them, and they said was the Virgin Mary. Okay. Well, just because a woman appears to you, um, it could be a lot of things. It's it's not necessarily the Virgin Mary. It could be a deception. It could be demonic. And you say, okay, you say 985. I don't know what that means at all. I'm sorry. You say the Pope is fulfilling the prophecy. Okay, how is he fulfilling the prophecy? You say you've had 66 flat lines. Okay. Okay, I'm glad you're still here, but you've had 66 flat lines. That's a lot. Okay, well, what does your flatlining have to do with what we're talking about? And again, I'm not being rude. I'm just asking. I'm just wondering what that is. You've had 66 flat lines. Did you see something when you flatlined, and you say not demonic? I checked. I not demonic. I don't know what that means. I checked. Ged. Please clarify what you're saying, because it's getting confusing. You challenged it. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you challenged it. Just because you challenged it and you say that it's not demonic or that it wasn't demonic doesn't mean that it's not demonic. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not being rude. I'm just being truthful. I can sit back and say, yeah, I checked it out and it's not demonic. What if I'm being deceived? And yes, I can be deceived. Anyone can be deceived. And you say, demonic. Okay. I suppose you're going to say also that you cannot be deceived. Is that what you're getting at? Is that you cannot be deceived? That you're above deception? I'm just asking. Okay, all right, right there. You say, no, I can. Okay. I close my case. You say, no, you can, but you're saying that that the prophecy at Fatima was not demonic, but then you say that you can be deceived. So that pretty much you've said in your own words that don't trust it because you don't know. You don't know for sure. And no one does. And you said, but I've had a lot of experience. It doesn't matter. I've had a lot of experience. I've had 27 years of experience. And I'm telling you, I can be deceived if I allow myself to be. So I'm sorry, but that's, that's it. And that's a very, very important topic because that's the power that's the weapon is deception. Okay. Well, you say 50 years that you're 73. Well, okay. But if you've been researching this and studying this for 50 years, then I'm sorry, but you should know not to say that something's true until, a prophecy's something's true until it's happened. I mean, come on. And nothing personal towards you. I'm just being honest. I mean, so anyway, well, right. And please continue to do so. You say I'm trying to communicate, and I want you to. So there's no problem. You say I'm trying to communicate with no time. Okay, what do you mean by no time? Because I'm really not understanding what you're saying. Okay, you say it's too quick. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I apologize, but your comments, they're not making sense. Yes, you're just firing off remarks. Okay, but when you do that, I don't know how to respond. And it makes it very difficult because I have no idea what you're talking about, or I have no idea what you're referring to. So just, take your time and make a comment that I can I can make something out of, versus the little comments here and there. Well, we can talk. Yes, absolutely. We can talk after the podcast here in like 45 minutes if you want to. But you say last time I missed them. I didn't miss anything. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Last podcast, you missed it. So I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about, sweetie. Oh, you say what you were trying to say. Well, that's just it. With these short quips and these short remarks, I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say. So if you can, email me at the Texarsis podcast, and let's see. You're in New Zealand, correct? Yeah, you're in New Zealand. Okay. I can you can try to call the show line after in like 45 minutes, or give me an hour, and we will talk. Okay. There's the number for the show line. I think you dial the 00 +1 for the prefix for the United States, and then the number. So, but it has been said that the Priory of Sion, that they protect a bloodline. And now this is just theory. I'm not saying it's truth. but they say that the Priory of Sion protects, has protected throughout the ages. And when the Priory of Sion spokesman was, let's see. Oh, Asaph, thank you for joining us. You say, hi, are you talking about the event in the world shifting to a new era? Possibly. To be honest with you, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to say that I do. So please, forgive me, but I'm just, talking about, theories and what has been said, um, that when Nicholas Haywood, the spokesman for the Priory of Sion, when he was asked about how old the Priory of Sion was, he said, well, he says it goes back to the beginnings of mankind, I suppose. So, I mean, we're talking about a society, a group that goes back, I mean, way back. Okay. And he said, about talking about the event, he said, there is one coming. And he says, and it's going to be, he says, when it happens, he says, no one's going to have to look at the person next to them and say, was that the event? He said, everyone is going to know. He said, everyone is going to know what that was the event. Okay, Pieta, you've got my attention now, big time. The priest found the scrolls. Berenger Saunier of Rennes-le-Château found scrolls that were written in code. Rennes-le-Château, France, that were written in code. And one document was a list of the Grand Masters of the Priory of Sion, leading back to, I believe it was 1099 AD. We're talking about the Grand Masters have been Sandro Botticelli, Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and so on. Just, men that were seemingly superhuman, with superhuman abilities. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci, I mean, we're talking about somebody that was ahead of their time, big time. And these were all grandmasters of the Priory of Sion. But it's been said that the Priory of Sion, that their main thing is that they have protected a bloodline. And some people say that bloodline is the Rh negative bloodline, is the Rh negative blood. Now, for you Rh positives, that's not saying you're excluded or anything, or you're lesser, because many Rh positives carry the recessive negative gene. So, so I'm not excluding anyone at all. You say the two coffins, one in the Priory of Sion, the other in the church in England, St. Joseph, is there possibly? I don't know about two coffins. I'm sorry, I don't know about two coffins. And like I said, I've studied this for 18 years. And matter of fact, at Rennes-le-Château, there are many, many sepulchres, huge sepulchres under the church there at Rennes-le-Château. But it's the lords of Rennes-le-Château when it was a huge place. Okay, now Rennes-le-Château right now is a very small village, very small, maybe 7 to 8 people, maybe 10. But since the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail was written, well, thank you, Asaph. I'm glad you're enjoying this. The small village in Rennes-le-Château maybe has 8 to 10 residents now. I mean, I'm serious. It is so tiny. And most people have never heard of it. They have no idea. But it could very well be the most important, the most powerful place on earth. And to be honest with you, I believe it's just that. And I'm not going to go into the reasons why, because truth is back in 2008, I was doing research on this very subject, and I got my computer shut down, and I got a phone call from they said the man said he was an agent for a global agency. And I asked for the name of the agency, and he said it didn't have one, didn't need one. And this guy was very convincing. Trust me, he was not playing. And I asked him for his credentials, and he gave them to me. Boom, 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 boom. So I waited about 2 minutes after we talked some more, and I asked him for his credentials again, and boom, 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 boom. He named them off, just, and they were the same. They matched. So it was like, man, this guy's good. I mean, he's not kidding. And he says, yes, Pineda, it says, beware, this place is terrible. Yes. And that's taken from the book of Genesis, when Jacob wakes up and he says, this place is terrible. He says, because I have seen the Lord, and in that context, terrible does not mean bad. It means this place is awesome. It's like we say, oh, that's bad, meaning it's good. So, but in Rennes-le-Château, it's like what is up is down, what is right is left. So it could very well mean that it is terrible. Who knows? But what I believe is that Rennes-le-Château is the it's a fact that Rennes-le-Château has the strongest magnetism on Earth. It has a very, very powerful magnetic field, and it's within the Earth there in Rennes-le-Château and the surrounding area. Okay. Now, when you have that type of magnetism and you have that such power, remember, you can't have magnetism without electricity. So it's electromagnetism. Okay. Well, there have been reports from way back of people that they become disoriented, or it's like they shift into another dimension or another time or whatever. And what happens is, because of the strong electromagnetic field there, it's the place on Earth where the veil, I'm talking about the dimensional veil, is the weakest, where it's the thinnest. And I believe that it's the most powerful place on Earth for that to happen, where, just imagine having a bubble that is our reality and having another bubble that is an alternate reality. Okay. And then imagine there's a place on our bubble that the other bubble presses into and goes through. And that's what these people experience. They experience an alternate reality at this in this area, which is about a 40 square mile area. And this is what's really going to blow your mind. So buckle your seatbelt for what I'm about to tell you. Let's see.
Asaph, you say, well, from the latest intel, the event is going to take place in June 20th, 2019, summer solstice. This shift in all things on the planet. No. Your English is fine, buddy. Thank you. Okay. Well, excuse me. Well, I knew that it was going to supposedly take place sometime like 2020. They said possibly this year. So usually with things like this, when it doesn't happen on the date they say, then they say, well, okay, then it's going to happen this date, and then so I tend not to put much stock into date setting. It's like people, with the Bible, they say, okay, well, according to this, then the date, like that Harold guy that, said that he had determined, when the end of the world was going to come and all this, and that day came and passed, and it's like, well, my grandson spilt some peanut butter on my Bible and I smudged it and I got it wrong. So, but this is the real date. And so he moves it. And then that date comes and goes and he has another excuse. And it's like, why can't you just say, I don't know when it's going to be? But yes, Michael Bagent or Baggett, whatever, Bagent was the New Zealand author. Yes. And you say that that he felt it, but was never the same again. A lot of people that go to Rennes-le-Château, they are never the same again. Some are drawn to the area. Some move there to the surrounding area. They're so drawn there. And I guess the best way that I could explain it is that I believe that it is a place of magnification, that it magnifies within you what you bring there. It magnifies. So if you go there and you're a hateful, spiteful, wicked person, then you're really going to be a monster. If you go there with love and light and love and light in your heart, then it's going to be magnified. But it's a reflection of, hey, Michelle, glad you joined us. But it is a reflection of your spirit, of your heart, the true you. And it's magnified there at Rennes-le-Château. Now, there's been some people that have gone there and they've had to leave. Some people have gone there and they become violently sick. I mean, vomiting. Some have had, heart attacks. I mean, not a lot of that. But again, what happens, in my opinion, is that whatever's in your heart, whatever whatever you take there is magnified. And it's magnified like we experience power, a 110 outlet. I think that in certain cases, when a person goes to Rennes-le-Château, which I believe again, and I hope this doesn't get me, I hope this doesn't get attention. I hope this doesn't get me further on the radar. But Rennes-le-Château is the main point of 12 other points on the planet. And when I say points, I'm talking about portals. And yes, I said portal. Multi-dimensional portals. But Rennes-le-Château, a little village in southwestern France, is the main one. It's the one that controls the other 12. Now think about this. This is where I got into trouble back in 2008. Was I did the research, connected the dots, and I said, wow, this is, I have never been there. I have never been there, not in person, but I connected the dots and I started looking through literature, through scripture, through holy texts, teachings, and what I found was a blueprint. And not only that, but I looked in nature, I looked in the universe, and I was surprised because the zodiac, you have the 12 signs, you have the 12 houses, but then you've got the 13th, which is hidden, Ophiuchus. Okay, which happens to be, if it was added, which happened to be my sign, Ophiuchus, the serpent handler. Okay, now you take that with the 12 sons of Jacob, who later became renamed Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. But Joseph, one of Jacob's sons, his favorite son, was thrown into a pit by his brothers, and then he was sold into slavery. And so he was left out, and his two sons replaced him as far as the tribes of Israel. So what was there? There was a total of 13. A total of 13 tribes. Okay. Now, you take that further. You take King Arthur and the Round Table, 12 knights, and King Arthur, 13. What could that be? It could be a metaphor. King Arthur is Rennes-le-Château, and the 12 knights are the 12 portals around the earth. Same thing with, it's like the law of double reference. Jesus and the disciples. Jesus could be Rennes-le-Château, could be a blueprint of Rennes-le-Château. 12 disciples, the 12 portals. Now, the 12, the portals, that's where you get into trouble, because there's a lot of agencies, a lot of those in power that are watching. They are watching. Thank you, Michelle. It's you say great insight. It is actually, it took me years and years and years, and I have patience. Patience is not one of my virtues. I mean, but thank God, determination is. I'm like a bulldog. When I latch onto something, I don't let go, and I will hold on and keep on until doomsday. And that's what I did with Rennes-le-Château. And those that know me, they can attest that it didn't fall into my lap. It was not easy for me, not at all. And but even then, I truly believe that I've just scraped the tip of the iceberg. But one thing about it is there have been so many governments in the world, countries, intelligence agencies that have studied and they continue to study Rennes-le-Château and the surrounding area. I'm talking, and I'm not going to name the names, but they're 3-letter agencies, and we're talking about agencies in intelligence agencies in Germany, Israel, the United States, many. So you have to ask yourself, what are they looking for? What are they doing? What are they searching for in Rennes-le-Château and the surrounding area? Or a better question would be, what is there? Because when you think about it, they would not waste resources. They would not waste time. They would not waste their energy if there wasn't something there that was of, yes, time shifts, exactly. Time shifts. And more. Because this is amazing. And people, please listen to me. I am not insane. I am not crazy. And if you want to think I am, that's fine with me. But I can assure you that this is being proven more and more every day through quantum mechanics, quantum physics, by CERN. Listen to Geordie Rose, who talks about endless alternate realities. Okay. Now get this. They're not, and Geordie Rose is the founder of D-Wave Quantum Computers. He, is a part of CERN. Okay. Those, physicists, and they are no longer talking about these alternate realities, these parallel universes as possibly being there. They're speaking very matter-of-factly. They're there, and they're endless. And so it's like, when I saw Geordie Rose talking on his lecture about the endless parallel universes, alternate realities, whatever you want to call them, many people didn't catch that he was speaking matter-of-factly. Matter of fact, he started out his lecture. He started out his lecture by, it was fact. I mean, he didn't even explain it. He just said it was fact. He says there are endless parallel realities. He said, and what I mean by that, he said, is you are here and you are there. And you are there, and you are there, and you are there, and so on, and so on, and so on, to infinity. The only thing is here, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you, and then in another alternate dimension, I'm sitting here, and you're talking to me. Or in another dimension, I'm not even sitting here. We're sitting face to face. Every possibility is taking place in alternate dimensions. Now, this is just something that I've thought about, just a theory, and let me know what you think about it. Is Asaph, you say the truth is about to be revealed about this reality. You are right. I believe you are right. But have you ever had a day where, or a time when you just out of the blue, for no reason, you just became very, very angry, enraged, or you became very, very sad. And to this day, you do not understand what the hell happened. You don't understand why. You just know that you felt very, very sad, or you felt very, very enraged, and you don't know what it was about. You don't know what it was directed towards, and you don't know where it came from. Think about the alternate realities. And in every one, there's something different happening. Could it be that those times are when something happens to you that's really bad in another dimension that affects you in this one? Think outside the box. Think outside the dimension would be a better term. That's exactly what I believe happens. Right. Absolutely, Patricia. This information really does not, well, it's not for everybody, because there are people that they hold on to tradition, to traditional beliefs. And why do they do that? Because the traditional beliefs give them stability, and there's nothing to fear when they hold on to their traditional beliefs. Why? Because people fear what they don't understand or what they don't know. So many people are not going to let go of their traditional beliefs, what they've been taught, what they know. They're going to reject what they don't know, or they're going to turn away, or they're going to say that it's evil, or it's dangerous, or it's bad, or whatever, because they don't understand it, and because they're afraid to they have become accustomed to habit. They're comfortable where they're at, and they're not going to move. They're not going to evolve. They don't want to. There's no reason to. And anyway, but yes, I believe the event is going to be where where the world realizes that that time in this reality is an illusion. And when that happens, when that's revealed, and I believe that it's going to be revealed in a way that, well, I'm almost certain that it will be revealed in a way that will be undeniable. I mean, if someone denies it, if someone says, I don't believe that, it's not true, they're lying. Because I believe it's going to be revealed and explained in a way that it will be undeniable. Now, when you take that information, and like I said, a deluge, a flood of information that would be possibly just as catastrophic or life-changing if a meteor hit the planet or an asteroid hit the planet. And maybe it wouldn't even be a catastrophe. Maybe it would just be yes, the trigger. Exactly, Asaph. Exactly. Yes. The first domino will be flicked, and then who knows? The cards will fall where they may. That's what's going to happen. And then Patricia, you say, come on, Utah is just in the talks of taking away daylight savings time. I will not have my schedule messed with. Right. Michelle, you say, I think people may go on different timelines as well when the event happens. Well, Michelle, that's what is so amazing about this is they're already on those timelines. You are here and you're there 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 and you're there. You're just as much there right now as you are here. So I think that it's pretty much when this information comes out, if that's what it is, that it will cause a change in consciousness, that everyone will observe the world in a different way. And, oh, you say, I want to be on a different one. Well, I think that if this is what is coming, the event, if it is this information, I do believe that it will be that people merely knowing about it, people merely observing it, will do what? Will change it. And how will that be changed? I believe that anything's possible. Perhaps, exploration, just like Asaph said, moving into a new era. What does the Bible say in Revelation? I believe it's chapter 20, verse 10. It says, and I stood on the sea and I heard him say, and time shall be no more. Time shall be no more. And if you think about it, what are we prisoners to on earth? What are we prisoners to in life? We're prisoners to time. The ticking traps. We're always looking at the clock. I don't have time for this. I have time for that. Give me time. I'm running out of time. We're born, we live, we die. Between birth and death, what is it? It's time. Yeah, right. You wake up in the morning at a certain time. You have to be at work at a specific time. Go to lunch at a specific time. Time. You get home from work, you eat. Okay, well, I've got this long before I have to go to bed at a certain time. We are prisoners of time. And what I'm saying is we're prisoners of an illusion. Einstein said time is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. Well, imagine if information came out that time was in fact an illusion. It doesn't even exist. And how can you be a prisoner of something that doesn't exist? Well, the way you can be a prisoner of something that doesn't exist is by realizing that you yourself create it. When you're free from that, when you're free from, well, exactly, it is scripted. It is scripted. Scripture. I say all the time that life, that I believe that life is the most intricate, the most detailed, the most the most realistic screenplay that has ever been written
of all time. Okay, well, when you look at it as in the biblical view, what does Jesus say? He says, nothing, he says, everything will happen as it has been written. He says, not one jot or one tittle will be removed until everything be fulfilled. What he's saying, not one dotting of an I, not one crossing of a T will be omitted until everything written has happened. Sounds like a screenplay to me. And what did Shakespeare say? The world is a stage and we are merely actors. We play our part. Are we avatars? Is this a simulation? I believe it is. I believe it is a test. The test of all tests. What are tests? What is a test? It's something you pass or something you fail. And it's like I've said on my podcast, on the one that I do on Spreaker. I view us. I view this reality, this world, as like Life 101. We are possibly like Sims characters, avatars. But the thing is imagine a Sims character, a Sims avatar becoming self-aware. Okay? Just imagine this, okay? Please just take just a few minutes just to listen to this, because this will explain, I hope, what I'm really talking about. Is imagine a Sims character that becomes self-aware. And you are the creator of the Sims game or whatever. Okay, what are you going to do when one day you check on the game, or you check and you see that one of the avatars has become self-aware and knows that he or she is in a simulated, created application. And this character, this avatar that's become self-aware, is going around and telling every other avatar, hey, you know what? This isn't real. The reason that you make the choices you make is because you're not in charge. You're not making the choices. The program is. We're not in control at all. How do I know this? I don't know it, but I can't explain how I know it, but I just know it. If you were the creator of that simulation, of that game, what would be your first course of action besides freaking out that this one little avatar that's become self-aware could possibly shut down your the entire thing that you've programmed and that you've, okay. Michelle, you say, well, wait, Asaph, you say, I heard that the signs will be, as you have said, and also problems with flights around the world many out of control systems in the world when realities collided now. Okay, well that would be that would be the electromagnetic veil, and I believe that there is it's I actually believe that it's a very, very thin literal veil of electromagnetic plasma. Now, this is why that in many of the movies, when you see a portal or you see a Stargate or whatever, you see the shimmering. It looks like water. That's the plasma, which plasma is the it's not naturally found on Earth, but it's found in the universe. So that's, and when they collide, there's, what does that cause? Yes. What does that cause? When you throw a rock into the pond, into a pond, into water, causes ripples, right? When you throw another rock into the pond, it causes ripples. When these ripples, when they interact, when they meet each other, it causes a pattern and interference, and that's what will cause some problems with electronics and the wireless technology, is because of this interference of these dimensions. It's just like ripples, frequencies. So interference, it's going to interfere a lot if that does happen. But you say, Michelle, you say that you agree and you don't agree. I think the player and me are the same. Okay. You say, have experienced my player self with shrooms and have a knowing too much to type. I understand. But well, that's kind of what I'm saying, is that if you are the creator of the game, of the simulation, and you created the avatar, then of course it would be you. It would be you. But what I'm saying is what if, and you are programming this avatar. You're programming it. You're making the choices. It's you. But what would happen, let's just say theoretically, what would happen if you programmed it so much, to such a degree, that it somehow became self-aware and went rogue, or really didn't need to be programmed anymore? Why? Because it could program itself. It could program itself. So that gets into a whole nother topic, but I do believe that in some cases that is what happens. Now, thank you, Peter, both in a simulation and also the mind. Now, the reason I say that, and I know that we're going a little bit over 2 hours, but just bear with me. Yes, Michelle, exactly. I think that that's what it is. I do believe. But think about this. When, let's say that you that a person is that they're born, or that they're part of a family with abusive parents, systematic abuse, and it becomes so bad that the mind disassociates, it splits, or it fragments, which happens. DID, dissociative identity disorder. People say, well, man, that's a mental illness. Is it? Or is it survival? Because if left unchecked, the person would finally break and commit suicide, correct? Everything would be lost. So what happens? It's survival. So what happens? The mind says, okay, a sacrifice has to be made. A sacrifice of part to ensure the survival of the whole. So it fragments. It fragments. It sacrifices itself, part of itself, for the survival of the whole. Now, that fragmented part is called what? An alter. That's what they call it, an alter. And that alter has its own personality, and it's amazing at the degree of the alter's personality and what they can do. We're talking about someone that has dissociative identity disorder with alters. They can be drunk. Blood test proves that they're drunk. But the alter take control, do another blood test, and no alcohol shows up. The alter sober. How do you explain that? Your consciousness, your mind creates and changes reality. There was one account that I read about where this woman received a call from one of her husband's friends at the local club, and he called and he said, "Hey, this is Bob." He says, "I'm driving Rick home. He's drunk." He says, "So he says, just know that he's okay. He can't talk right now because he's inebriated. He's out of it." So she said, "Okay, thank you," And 30 minutes later, she, knocked at the door. She goes to the door, and it's her husband, but he's not drunk. And he's referring to himself as Bob, Rick's friend. And she's, "What's going on?" He said, "I drove Bob home. He was drunk." And she's like, "Oh my God." Well, the guy had alters. Okay. Bob was drunk. Snot slinging drunk. Rick wasn't. Or Bob was. One was drunk and one wasn't. One what? One person. One person. Now, the definition of a person is what? Personality. Their actions, their belief is what makes up a person. Alters have beliefs. What are they? They are personalities. They are people created by the human mind. Right. MK Ultra, big time. Absolutely. But this is what has happened. And I'm not really gonna exactly pay it. We don't have to have skin to be a person. Matter of fact, I call it a skin suit. I call it, that's all it is. The real me is in this skin suit, but the real me is spirit. It's not skin and bone. It's not flesh. But this is, let's see, Michelle, you say, but we go through other traumas that can create altars, but could it be an opening to another being? Are you talking about another being as far as another entity, or another being as far as another existence? Yes, it could be an opening to another entity. Now, would someone with DID be aware of that? Would they know that? No, because it would they would probably be so beaten down, so hopeless. The lights would be on, but no one would be home. And so, but in some cases, there have been altars that there have been entities that have yes. And Michelle, thank you for saying that, because you say this could only be done if we are low vibe. Exactly. The reason is, and I'm glad you said that, is because demons, which I don't like that word, but I say ultra dimensional entities, negative ultra dimensional entities. What do? Their pattern is always the same. They attach, and they begin doing what? They begin oppressing that person. They begin an assault, even if it's not an open assault. They just keep pressing. Why? Because they are tearing that person down. They are tearing them down, and they are lowering their vibration. Why do they do that? So they can enter in. And that's just how they operate. But Asaph, you say, so the event, when do you feel is going to happen? Soon? It depends on us, or is it coming anyway? It's coming anyway. Matter of fact, it doesn't depend on us. It's is my opinion, and everything I say is my opinion. But it's let's see. Peter, you say no time, huge space, no up, no down, no parameters. Well, this is going to blow your mind, but you say no time, huge space. How about no time, no space? Because you can't have time without space. What's time? Time is the measurement between the space of two objects, correct? That's why it's called space-time. You can't have one without the other. So there's no space, there's no time. And if that's the case, then there's no up, there's no down, there's no parameters. Ponder that. And when I say there's no space, there's no time. So, nope, it does not change. You say no time, huge space. Now, I think a better way to explain, or a better term for huge space, would be nothingness. But to have time, or when you say no time, if you have no time, but you have huge space, even no matter how huge it is, there's still, it can still be measured. But when you say huge space, I really don't understand what you're talking about, because huge space would be what would be the difference between huge space and well, huge space would be huge distance. No space would be no distance. Well, that's right, Michelle. And that's something else I want to talk about real quick, is on the clock. What do you have? You have 12 points, the 12 hours. Okay. But there's a 13th point. In the very center of the clock, there's the 13th point where the hands originate from. In that 13th point, you have all time and you have no time. As you very well put it, you have nothing, and in having nothing, you have everything. How can that be? You have everything and you have nothing at the same time. It's your perspective. What does that mean? It means it all depends on you. It all depends on how you see it. Yes. When we're in the zone, when you're in your element, nothing can stop you but you. And that's why that people are going to reject it. They're going to turn away from it. And it's not because they don't believe it. It's because they're afraid of the responsibility that goes along with it. They're afraid of how powerful it is. Because let's face it, when you are weak, and this is a very common thing. I talk to a lot of people and they don't see it. Some do, but they don't see how reliant and how addicted they are to being weak, to their weakness. And the truth is they are. Weakness is their drug. Because when you're so weak, and I'm not being derogatory, I'm not being rude, but some people, they are weak-minded and they want to stay weak-minded. Why? It's easier. Because no one, that gets you out of a lot of responsibility. And when something goes wrong, nobody blames you, because you can blame it on, well, I'm just weak. I don't have any power. That's the easy way out. And those that choose that path, no. There's many that want to do that, but But when everything is all said and done, they want to enjoy the rewards of the labor. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm going to say something too that is very profound, but it's very true. For those of you that are afraid of failure, that are afraid of falling flat on your face, that are afraid of crashing and burning in whatever you do, don't be. Because you must fall before you can truly stand. You must crash. If you don't crash, and I'm not talking about literally, but I'm talking about in life, if you don't crash, what have you done? Not much. If you don't fail, and please don't take this the wrong way, but if you don't fail, then you have not thoroughly applied yourself. That's right. Failure is disguised success. Because when someone fails, when someone falls flat on their face, or someone, as I say, the ultimate failure is crashing, boom, you don't just fail. I mean, you bite it. I mean, you completely obliterate. It's like the ultimate failure. But what does that mean? It means that in losing, or in failure, you win. Why is that? Because you were applying yourself maximum. I mean, you didn't have the pedal to the metal. You had it through the metal. So what does that mean? It means that even though you crashed, even though you fell, even though you failed, you're successful through failure, because next time you'll make it. And there's many people that say, I'm so depressed. I'm so filled with anxiety. I'm so lonely. Life is unfair. I'm being picked on. I'm forgotten. I'm this, I'm that. No, you're not. You're simply going through a temporary time. You have to cry before you can sing. You have to go through the valley before you have to go through the valley to reach the mountaintop. And then let's see. Asaph, you say, I believe strongly in a secret space program in USA, Israel, and other nations, and it's all going to reveal now. Yes, I believe that to a certain extent. Hey, Laura. Right, absolutely. Let's see. Asaph, you say America is visiting other dimensions since 1950, and other nations also. It is going to be revealed now when they cannot hide it anymore. Conditions are changing rapidly, and we will enjoy many. Michelle, you say when it comes to relationships, though we are targeted, I did it fearlessly for 15 years and finally stopped to not subjugate myself to pain. It is not a weak or uneducated person on how to deal with life. Absolutely. And I will say that. And it's unfortunate, but it is the truth, is that
many that are many that know about this or that are interested in it, that are sensitive to it, you will be targeted. You will be targeted. And many times it is in the form of relationships. Trust me, I've been there. And yeah, and it's not fun. It is not. But one thing in closing that I want to, talk about as far as the other dimensions, the alternate realities, that time is an illusion, that everything is happening all at one time. It's all happening now. Although we can't perceive it, it is happening. Everything's happening right now, all at once. I know it's hard to comprehend, but it is. Time is not linear. It doesn't move in a line. Time is a dot, a fixed place. It's all happening at one time. Okay. Now, oh, Patty, you're more than welcome. But okay. All right. I'm just about to wrap things up, but I just want to, let you know, many people say, when I say something about the Bible or I say something about scripture, they turn away. It's like, I don't need to be preached at. I'm not going to preach. I'm not preaching to you. I'm not even, I don't have any motive to try to pull you into, I'm not like these Christians that, although I do consider myself a Christian, I'm probably the furthest thing from your conventional Christian that you could ever imagine. I mean, even Christians don't like to be around me, but this is why, because I'm unconventional. I don't follow their doctrine. I don't follow their, teaching, but what I do is I see truth and I know truth that is in the Bible, but it is explained not on a surface level, but on deep levels, plural, because I believe that the Bible, that scripture is a hyperdimensional, as strange as this sounds, a hyperdimensional information, that it is that what is taught and explained in the Bible is, most of it is metaphorical, but it is hyperdimensional, which means that it can be understood in this dimension and any other dimension, every other dimension, it would be understood. What is truth here is truth there and there and there and there and there. So again, I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm just trying to explain truth to you. You say, Michelle, you say, those of us who have been in religion have went through the betrayal of religion. You say, I don't get triggered by you. Well, Michelle, the reason that is because I hate religion. I hate man-made religion. I hate organized religion, but I love spirituality and I love truth. And it's like I said a few nights ago, I said,
I said, I may not be the most eloquent speaker. I may mangle the delivery, but one thing is, one thing that I hope that, people see is that I'm sincere. And I think that that has a lot to do with not triggering people, because I don't have an ulterior motive. I'm not trying to lead anyone to Christ, or I'm not trying to lead anyone to Christianity, or I don't have a motive. The only thing that I want to do is I want to uplift people, and I want to empower people. I want them to see and know and experience truth for themselves and not secondhand. Because I know when they do, they'll never be the same. They'll be empowered. So, yes, the Bible is written in code. It truly is. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Payetta. I appreciate that. But in the Bible, Jesus is teaching the common people, or, he's teaching what the religious teachers of that day, the common people, they controlled them with an iron fist, an iron religious fist, and basically by God is always watching you. Be careful with what you do. Or, and that's even today, you have people that, you have religious teachers, supposedly teachers, and people in religious power. They're always, God is watching you. God is always watching you. Well, guess what, Bubba? God's watching you too. Matter of fact, the truth is, God's watching you much closer than he's watching others, because you're so pompous and you're so proud of yourself, and you've appointed yourself a judge. Yeah, God's watching you with a microscope. So get off your high horse and stop treating people like your God, because you're not. So Jesus is teaching the common people, just everyday people, that looked at these religious teachers, these Pharisees, like they were God, because they had this knowledge, and knowledge is power. They had the spiritual knowledge, and the common people did not. Much like today. Sadly, nothing's changed. And if it has changed, it's gotten worse. But Jesus is teaching one day. And that's why Jesus was a revolutionary. Jesus was not afraid to speak. He was not afraid to speak out. He was not afraid to speak up. And he was not afraid to, step out and step up. So they came one day, it says, and Jesus was teaching the people, and they said, who gave you the authority to teach this teaching? Now ask yourself something. What is this teaching? Because they very plainly, they're very upset. Who gave you the authority to teach this teaching? Okay, well, it was a powerful teaching, obviously, because they're upset that he's teaching the common people, that he's sharing the keys to the kingdom. And the last thing they want is for the common people to be as powerful as they are. And he says, I'm only teaching what my Father in heaven tells me to teach. And they say, what did he just say? And he says, they say, so you're saying that you are the Son of God? And he's like, basically says, well, no, you just said it. And he's trapping them in their own words. And they said, how can you teach this teaching and you're not yet 50 years old? Now that's key. That's key right there. How can you teach this teaching and you're not yet 50 years old? Well, the truth is before a Jewish man can be taught the higher knowledge, or I should say the higher and highest knowledge of Judaism, mysticism, whatever you want to call it, he must be at least 40 years old. He must be married and have a family. And he must show exceptional mental fortitude, spiritual fortitude, and ethics. I mean, because if not, he couldn't handle it. Because they want to make sure that power, that knowledge does not go into the wrong hands. And they want to make sure that the person can handle it. That because there's been some who have went insane, lost their mind because of its power overload. So Jesus says, well, and they said, are you saying that you're greater than our father Abraham? And he said, if Abraham was here, he said he would be delighted, he says, to see this day. He says, when I'm here, in the flesh, he says, but he says, Abraham is not your father. Because they said, are you greater than our father Abraham? He says, Abraham's not your father. He says, your father's the devil. And they're like, whoa, boy, does this guy have, who is he? And he says, you're of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning. And when he speaks lies because that's his native language. And you're just like him. And they're like, whoa. And he took a stand, he took a stand. So, make the long story short, they said again, talking about Abraham, they said, are you saying you're greater than our father Abraham? And he says, I'll tell you the truth. Before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. And when he said that, he was telling them, you know who I am. You know who I am. That's the I am is when Moses asked God, when God called him to go to Egypt, he says, who shall I say sent me? And God says, tell them I am that I am sent you. I am. Okay. Well, Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. Now, what's he saying there? He's saying, well, what we've talked about. That's the message. That's the teaching. He's saying, I am in the beginning. I am with Abraham. I am with you. And I am at the end. All at the same time. I transcend time. That's powerful. That is powerful because he was telling them, yes, you think you have knowledge. You think that you're powerful, but you don't even realize that you are trapped in your own illusion that time exists. I am here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, all at the same time. So anyway, well, the event, you say, let's see, excuse me. Let's see. All right. Okay, Asaph, you say the event, how would it be? We will suddenly be higher dimensional peoples, those who are ready. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if it would be something that would be sudden. I can only surmise that it would that it would be. I mean, we've the Apostle Paul says that we will all be changed in the twinkling of an eye, so that would be pretty sudden. Now, I don't know if that's what if the event is, but I do find it very interesting that he says we will all be changed in the twinkling of an eye. So it very well could be. And then there are some people that say that the event will be a solar flare that hits the Earth. And there's people saying that the event's going to be an asteroid that hits the Earth, but that's catastrophic. And it very well could be. It could be. I don't know. It could be information that completely changes the world and how it changes the world belief systems, such as Christianity, Judaism, Islam, who knows? But information like that could possibly destroy every religion there is, that would be pretty catastrophic. Or what if it was a lie? There is no creator. There is no judgment. You can do what you want to do, and there is no hell. Because what if that was the event, that there was something that proved that all of that doesn't exist, and what would happen? It would be hell on earth. People would do what they wanted to do. People would follow their own desires. People would act out. And yes, absolutely. It would be much more severe than anything we've experienced. It would be worse than the flood, worse than a fire, worse than an asteroid hitting the earth, because the minds of all people would be open to their own lusts, to their own hatred. They would be driven and led by the desires and the power of their mind instead of their heart and their spirit. And that would be horrible. And you're right, Michelle. And when it's all said and done, what we focus on is what we give energy to. What we focus on is what we create and what we give energy to. What you think about, you create. And you give energy to it. And that's what love is. And I just want to say now that love and truth go hand in hand. And truth need not scream. Truth need not fight. Truth stands. And just by standing, it will never fall. And you can be standing in truth. And the whole world, 7.5 trillion people, can be against you. But when you're standing in truth, 7.5 trillion people cannot make you budge. Why? Because it's not you. You're standing in truth, and truth cannot be moved. Thank you, Michelle. Truth cannot be moved. It cannot be destroyed. You're invincible when you're standing in truth. So that's why that I love truth and I seek truth. But those of you that say, I'll never find true love. You know what? You're right. You never will. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But it's like that only because true love always finds you. Yeah. You see, you believe you're in control. You believe that if you do this and you do that and you do this at this time and you look this way and you're at this place, that you're going to find true love. No, you're not in control. I hate to tell you that, but you're not. It may seem like you are, but you're not. And when you hold on to that you are in control, and you hold on to I'm going to find true love. I'm going to find true love. Go ahead, hang on to it. How's that working for you? When you let go and you stop looking, yes, Michelle, well, a lot of people do. We all do. But that's just it. You have to relinquish that control or that desire for control. And when you do, you allow love to find you. Because as long as you're searching for it, you are going to be in the wrong place and it's going to miss you. And so just relax, take it easy, and it'll find you. It always does. Why? Because it never fails. It can't fail. So anyway, thank you all for being here. And if you, and for taking part and for listening to the podcast. And, but if you, please, if you would, hit the like button. I think that's what it is. I'm kind of new to the YouTube channel and everything. And hit the subscribe button. Also, you can yes. When I'm through, you can call. So, but you can reach me. You can send me messages if you have topics that you want to talk about, show ideas, or you're going through problems, or you need someone to talk to. Just send me an email at the texarcistpodcast@gmail.com. I'll put that on here. Okay, there we go. And you can also follow me. You can follow me on Spreaker, which if you want to get notified of the live podcast and participate live, then feel more than free to do so. Those podcasts that I do live, they are, once I'm through, they are sent to YouTube, but that's after the fact. So if you want to join the live chat, you can, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right. See, you can follow me on Spreaker, which is the main place. It's the web page or whatever. And let's see. And you can click on this link and it will take you to Spreaker, to my webpage there, and you just hit the follow button, and that will help notify you of when a show starts. And because I do the podcast Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, do this one Wednesday, and then Thursday and Saturday. So there's a lot. So, but oh, thank you, Michelle. I'm glad you will. And so that will certainly notify you. And YouTube doesn't really, I don't know, they haven't been very good at notifying people. So that's not very good as far as I'm concerned. But also, if you would, as far as the Spreaker, when you subscribe, I have to have 100 people following me before I will be able to be on iTunes. And so I have 34 followers now, actual followers. But if you could please subscribe to Spreaker and to my channel here, that would help me to be on iTunes, which will reach many, many more like-minded people. And the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, let me see. Okay. Well, thank you, Michelle. I'm happy that you found me, and I really appreciate you. And thank you so much. I'm glad you love the show. Hey, yes, you said you caught the tail end this time. Yes, yes, there is a Facebook group. I will put the name of it. It's the Spiritual Advancement Society, and it's a group of wonderful people that are mainly empaths, high degree of empathy, very sensitive, and well, they're just like us. So great people, very, very, they're just like family. As a matter of fact, we call it the Framily because it's friends who have become just like family. And there's it's I based it on the 5 L's: love, light, laughter, living, and something else. Leave it to me to forget. But I'm over 50 now, so I can blame it on that. So, but we have a good time. And most of the time, it's I was doing Facebook Live, but I broadened the started doing the podcast. When I started doing the podcast, and I stopped doing the Facebook Live so I could reach more people. So yeah, okay. And let's see. Oh, you say you don't have your glasses. I've got mine here. I'm trying to be all but yeah, I can see a lot better now. You say mother, you say Spreaker, and you're laughing. Okay, I don't know why you're laughing. I'm kind of afraid to ask, but anyway, yes, it kind of scares me when somebody starts laughing after they've said something. It's like, whoa. But go ahead, lay it on me. I'm ready for it. But yes, the feel free to check the group out, and let me know that you're from YouTube, and I will okay you and welcome you with open arms. So anyway, do you have any questions or anything like that you want to talk about? Oh yes, it's Spreaker. It's the podcasting platform Spreaker. And I just now here, I'll put it again. Let's see. Okay, this link will take you to my Spreaker webpage where I oh no, it's fine. I think it's hilarious. But it kind of, I always get uncomfortable, especially when like my fiance starts laughing for no reason. I'm like, okay, what's about to happen, And so I'm just kidding. But if you go to the Spreaker link that I just now sent you, then that's the podcast hub. That's the show hub, and all 65 episodes are archived, so you can take your pick on which ones you want to listen to. They're all there for you, archived, and basically you can listen to what you want to. And as a follower, you will be notified every time that I go live. And if you're a part of the Facebook group, then you can give me your email, or I will contact you on Messenger before I start the show. So Spreaker is very, very good about notifying people, but they have failed to notify people. I don't know, several times, but I really I don't like that. I like for people to be notified, because when people know when they contact me and they're like, I didn't get notified, I'm like, because I do everything that I can to ensure that everybody's notified and everything's set up and everything. And when somebody drops the ball or some site drops the ball, it really doesn't, it really doesn't help me. Well, Michelle, you say that you love the live shows too. Well, I do all my shows live. Like I said, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, this live, video Wednesday, and Thursday and Saturday, all on Spreaker, and they're all live. So feel free to join, to follow me there, and you will get as many as you want. I mean, as live shows, they're all live. And that's just it, is I do the live shows because I really feed off of what you say, and can pick up your I guess your frequency, your vibrations, what you're feeling to a certain extent, and I can work from that on how to take the show, and I guess what to say, and how to say it more specifically, rather than recording a show to where everything's generic. And I don't like the generic. I prefer the so yes, we certainly do. We vibe off of each other, and that's something that's very, very that I almost have to have, or I just feel like that I'm just doing a scripted, that I'm just sharing information, and there's no feeling to it. I'm just reading a script, and I don't like that. So yes, authentic. Well, we've got a thunderstorm here, so thunder is very, very loud. So anyway, thank you all for being here and taking part, and love and light to you all. Love you all. And remember, I'm here for you. Please contact me either on here or by email, or even Spreaker, or the Facebook page. And remember, you are not alone. Good night from Texas. I will see you next time.